Top 5 Best Budget Smartphones in 2020. Number 5. iPhone XR. If you want the best deal for a high-end iPhone, consider the iPhone XR. Just know that, like the OnePlus 7T, this phone is only cheap when you compare it with the more expensive new models. The iPhone XR, 8/10, Wired recommends, came out in 2018, but it still compares well to the new iPhone 11. No, it doesn't have an extra wide-angle lens, and its camera can't capture as much detail in the dark, but otherwise there isn't a huge difference between last year's model and what Apple is selling for $100 more today. Until the iPhone 12 rolls around in late 2020, the XR is worth strong consideration. Coming in number 4. TCL 10 Pro. You might know TCL for its affordable TVs, but now it's selling affordable phones. Don't worry, it's not its first rodeo. The company has made phones under brands it owns or used to own like Alcatel, Palm, and BlackBerry. But the TCL 10 Pro and 10L are the first phones sold in the US under its own name, and they're a very promising start. The 10 Pro has excellent performance with the Snapdragon 675 chip inside, and its 6.5-inch OLED screen is sharp and bright, even in broad daylight. The 4500 mAh battery keeps it running for a full day, and the 4-camera system does well in a variety of lighting conditions, though it's still not quite as good as the Pixel 3a. It feels more premium mostly because it's a glass sandwich, but that does mean it's fragile. The plastic-backed 10L is more durable and has similarly good performance, even if it uses the slower Snapdragon 665 processor for $200 less. Its battery can go past a full day, and while it can take some nice photos during daylight hours, the lack of a night mode on this model means your low-light shots are going to look quite poor. Its screen is also a little too dim to see in the sunny outdoors. TCL's biggest drawback is that, like Motorola, it's only promising one Android version update for these phones for now. That's disappointing, and doesn't bode well for the longevity of these phones past 2 years. Coming in number 3. Moto G Power. Motorola's G series phones kick-started the wave of affordable, decent Android phones when they first arrived several years ago. The new Moto G stylus is another solid entry, though it's not as good a value as its predecessors, as more and more brands jump into the budget market. You get a nice, modern-looking screen, a 4000 mAh battery that lasts 2 full days, a headphone jack, a micro SD card slot for extra storage over the included 128GB, and a 48-megapixel camera that's decently capable during the day and night. Performance isn't its strong suit. The Snapdragon 665 chip is good enough to run most apps and games, but you'll notice stutters almost every day, something that's not the case on the devices above and even the TCL phones mentioned below. The software is close to a pure version of Android, meaning it's uncluttered without anything unnecessarily hogging processing power. But, unfortunately, Motorola is only promising one Android version update, so don't expect anything after the upcoming Android 11. Security updates are a slightly better story, as they should come every quarter, but even that is subject to change. There's also no NFC, so you can't make any contactless payments with services like Google Pay. What you will find tucked away in this phone is a stylus. I didn't find it useful, especially since there's no palm rejection technology. You'll have to scribble without letting your palm touch the screen, and that's not easy if you want to write something legible. If you want the absolute best battery life on a cheap phone, check out the Moto G Power. It's very similar to the G Stylus, except, there's no stylus. Instead, it packs a bigger 5000 mAh battery that lasts 3 full days. It's a little cheaper, so you get only 64GB of storage, and the camera system is different and not very good at night. Coming in number 2. iPhone SE 2020. The new iPhone SE, 8/10, Wired recommends, is perfect for people who want an affordable phone from Apple without all the bells and whistles on its higher-end models. Don't need Face ID for authentication or a large screen. The SE relies on your fingerprint with Touch ID to unlock the phone, and yes, that means the home button is back. It's also a tiny thing, and while it's not as compact as the original 4-inch iPhone SE from 2016, the 4.7-inch screen still is very small compared to other phones today. You do get some modern amenities like wireless charging and IP67 water resistance, but sadly the headphone jack didn't make the cut. What makes the iPhone SE so special is the processor that's powering it, the A13 Bionic chip, which is the same one you'll find in the iPhone 11 Pro that costs several $100s more. You won't find performance anywhere near as good for this price on another phone. All your favorite apps and games, even if they're graphically intensive, will run without a hitch for years to come. And, of course, Apple will keep this phone updated for 4 to 5 years, which is years longer than most of the Android phones in this guide. The single camera setup on the rear snaps some nice photos, though because Apple did not bring night mode down from its high-end iPhones, it won't fare as well in low-light scenes as competitors like the Pixel 3a. The glass back design is also more fragile, so it's a good idea to use a case. Coming in number 1. Google Pixel 3a. If you can spend $399, or $479 for the larger Pixel 3a XL, you cannot find a better phone than this, 9/10, Wired recommends. The 3a is the first budget-minded phone that has topped our best Android phones guide, because it manages to feel like a high-end $800 phone in the ways that matter most. It's fast, the battery lasts all day, it gets security updates directly from Google, and it has a camera that's as good as the one on almost any other phone you can buy. It even has a night sight mode that makes nighttime selfies and other shots in very dim lighting conditions possible. Prepare to make a few sacrifices. The display doesn't stretch as close to the edges as many flagship phones, it's not waterproof, and there's no wireless charging, just fast wired charging. It's also covered in a classy polycarbonate shell instead of glass and metal. This actually makes it more durable, but if glass is your jam, take note. The Pixel 3a has a headphone jack, something even the expensive Pixel 4 and 4 XL do not have. Here are some other great phones with headphone jacks. If you're going to buy a Pixel, get this one, although do be aware that a Pixel 4a successor is expected to launch in early June. We've also frequently seen the 3a drop to $350 or lower. It's still a great value at its MSRP, but I recommend waiting to catch it on sale.